Woohoo! And welcome to the Real Prosperity Project. My name is Tanisha Tearing, and this is
It's Charlene Reedman. Hello, hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. Summer appears to have come to close,
a
and
screaming halt, I would say.
yeah, but fall is beautiful. I mean, the colors. I mean, holy man, just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it really is. Yeah. So welcome to the Real Prosperity Project. Charlene is right. It is getting chilly out there. The snow is already crusting on the tops of the mountains after our big rainstorm yesterday. But it's beautiful. And hey, we're here to talk about prosperity and finding the good things in life, even in the coldest, darkest days. And that is, the snow is beautiful. The leaves are great. The colors are amazing. It's time for the family photos for pretty much every family out there.
Exactly. Yeah, Kaylee had planted some pumpkins, but they were not a success this year. So we're gonna come back better next year with the pumpkins, and hey, maybe one day we'll actually have a pumpkin patch.
Oh,
How fun would
fun.
that be for photos?
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually do love like going on my Facebook and seeing everybody's family photos with all the fall colors and the fields and the plaid blankets and like it looks so cozy and fun and I love it. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so boy oh boy, it's been kind of a crazy last couple of weeks, so much going on um everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so I don't want to make this a kind of a downer, but I thought maybe we could reflect a bit on the news from a couple of weeks ago of Charlie Kirk assassination. Um,
Mm,
just, but not talking so much about that, but and again, this is just our opinions and how we feel, and just I followed Charlie Cook a little bit, but I didn't realize what an impact he had worldwide.
yeah.
Like holy smokes! But isn't
Yeah.
that the truth though? If you look at famous artists, they're not famous until it's like until they've passed away, and then all of a sudden their paintings have just grown exponentially in price and
Yeah. You know, I had a really hard time, and this is going to make me emotional because I did follow Charlie Kirk very closely for many years. I had no idea that he was so involved in politics. Um, I had no idea that he had been a part of the Trump administration since 2016. Like that,
yeah,
I didn't know that. I just followed all of his debate videos and I didn't a lot I feel like a lot of people didn't align with everything he said, but
no,
I could 100% get behind wholeheartedly his bringing back faith and religion, or not religion, but like the relationship with God and you know bringing back common sense and the ability to just debate and argue and but in an intellectual manner. Like we don't have to get violent. We don't have to hate on each other just because we have a difference of opinion. Like I really, really did get behind that because and he always used his words. And intellectually, he never ever swore and said mean things. He had facts and reason, and I think that's why I very much enjoyed following him. And I cried. I had a really hard time, you know. Um but just like Charlie, I leaned into my faith and I leaned into, just because he has fallen doesn't mean that we won't rise up together and really start going against all the violence that's happening because it's happening all over the world in every country and that violence needs to end. The hatred towards others needs to end. And I think that's going to be a huge message coming out of it. Um, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Shar?
Well, I can't believe he's only 31, 31 years old. I don't know if anybody listens to Glenn Beck. He's out of the States, and he had a big speech in front of the White House. And he's like, I'm looking for the next George Washington who will walk these stairs. And this was years ago. And then he met Charlie Kirk. And he's like, oh my gosh, I've met the next George Washington. And we were talking about Charlie Kirk at home here the other day, and we wouldn't have been surprised to see if he actually had ran to walk those stairs to the White House.
I really truly believe he would have.
Yeah. Isn't that
His
crazy?
time was coming for that. Yeah, yeah, I do believe that. But something that came up for a lot of people was he was so the announcement went over the police radio at 12:23 that Charlie Kirk had been shot. And he was a strong believer of faith. And the Bible verse John 12:23 and 12:24, this is when he was announced, you know, John 12:23 from the New International Version states that Jesus replied, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." Okay. And 12:24 is, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit."
Isn't that? It's like crazy.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
And I truly, truly believe that this is not a coincidence based on the amount of faith that Charlie Kirk had.
And I just have to throw this in there while I'm thinking of it or I'll forget. But I love how he emulates the power of family, and that our purpose, really, when it comes down to it, the purpose is to create life. And I think we've forgotten about that because we've all gotten so like, well, why would I bring another life into this horrific time that's going on? And, um, our population growth has really declined.
It has.
Yeah. We got to remember you have to have those, raising a family, you have to have values and beliefs and you're going to instill that into your kids, right? So
Mhm.
that they have a sense of purpose as well growing up and set the
Yeah.
example. And that's what I hear over and over and over is Charlie lived what he talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and there's been amazing things happening. I've seen people on TikTok, they're going to church. First time ever in their life. That one
Yeah.
fellow, he bought a suit and is going to church, and he's never done this before, and he's like, I want to be a better husband, a better provider, a better son. And I think that's what, like, if you take away all the noise, really at the end of the day, I think that's the message.
Yeah.
How can we become better people? And uh this, I'm pretty strong opinion about school, and I do agree with what Charlie said. Okay, so you got 300 people enrolled in the same class, taking the same degree, but there's not 300 jobs available for that degree, if that makes sense. So now
Yeah.
you're coming out with all this debt. Just talked to somebody the other day, and their son's going to school, and their loan is $170,000.
Oh,
Yeah, and
ouch.
but then the other son, he was going to school, and he decided that wasn't his path, and they're both happy. Like the one son's super happy to be in school, but the other son's super happy not to be in school.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not saying schooling is not important, but getting some life experience is important too. And then schooling you can take to add to your skills of whatever it is you're pursuing,
Yeah.
you know, like, yeah, but this, you know, oh, I just graduated high school and now I need to figure out what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's not an easy, you know. And I have another friend and her daughter, she's in her early 30s and she's still in school.
Hmm.
It's like, but when are you gonna not be schooling?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It's that kind of, just gonna be a devil's advocate here on the other, I say that, but that's a bad term. I don't like that. But anyways, I'm just going to
No.
be the advocate for the other side of that because education is really important. However, I believe that the system we have set up here in North America is what's failing our people because education should be accessible for all.
Yeah,
And we need to be consistently educating ourselves, and like knowledge is power. We need knowledge in order to grow. However, the way in which we are learning and the setup of the educational system, where like you said there's 2 to 300 people taking the same course but there's not 2 to 300 jobs, that is where we're failing.
exactly.
I don't really like that word failing either. That is where we need improvements on.
Yeah.
um I'm going to correct that because it isn't a failure because we are educating, we are trying to teach. However, the way it's going about it, and we it needs to change. We need to have some kind of improvement on that. And I'm not the one to say that I have all the answers or know exactly how that should happen. However, I do believe that if we were to properly analyze society and the economy and what exactly is needed. Like, do we need more electricians or more plumbers? Do we need more nurses? Do we need more care aides? That kind of thing. I don't believe that we should have to pay for that education. I believe that if you choose a career path and you're committed to it and you're saying, okay, I'm going to work in it for at least 10 years, even if I don't like it, that education should be provided to our young people. And it should be provided to citizens.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to like don't go to school, but like education is important, but there's many ways to get educated.
Yeah.
Giving people things for free sometimes isn't the way to go either because you know sometimes you have to have some skin in the game or a consequence if we don't finish it or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because if you don't have that skin in the game, then you really have less commitment. And I actually, I do agree with that. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So let's talk about the trades. So up here in where I live, we have a lot of trades, which is great because I mean, there's so many different areas that trades apply to. So with a trade, you need to have so many hours so you can get what's called an apprenticeship and go in,
Hmm.
and then that means that your employer will actually sponsor you to go and take the next level. So
Yeah.
I like this because they're getting hands-on world experience in that
Hmm.
field. And then they go back to school.
Yeah.
And then they have to go and get so many more hours to go back to the next level. And I really like that. So can you imagine um, if we could do that even throughout way more programs where you're getting that hands-on real life experience, earning
Yes.
a paycheck, and then you have to go back and take your next whatever to progress to the next step. I really like that. Nothing replaces hands-on real life experience.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at nursing, you go to your first year and then you have to do a practicum,
Yeah.
in between each semester of, or each year of level, like you have to go and do a practicum hands-on. You're a student nurse. You have a certain level of things that you are allowed to do, and then you have your certain things that you're not allowed to do in that year.
Yeah.
Same with carried. I had to do 270 practicum hours. Mine was unpaid, which was unfortunate. I do like the apprenticeship program because you are paid by and sponsored by your employer. Mine was unpaid, so I had to work 7 days a week as a single mom to do that. Uh, because I would work full time and then fit my hours in around that. So
That
paid
is
programs are the
unfortunate
way
that
to go.
that is unfortunate. I think, I don't see why they can't at least, at least put them in at minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know there are a lot of paid programs out there now. You got to remember, this was like, how old is my, I was 9, 10. That was 10 years ago. Oh my God. That was 10 years ago that I did that. So maybe they have paid programs now. I know they have paid nursing programs, but yeah, it's I do like the apprenticeship style, the hands-on, because that's where I learned everything.
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience in two industries now, in healthcare and in finance, all of my learning was done in the field, hands-on, with real people and real scenarios. It wasn't in the books. I honestly don't even remember the books.
No. Exactly.
The only
Exactly.
thing I remember is a little bit of learning medical terminology.
Yeah.
Was it?
I wouldn't do very good because I have a hard time saying like aluminum. So
So funny, actually. I This will make our listeners laugh. So the one of the only words that I remember from that medical terminology course was actually sphygmomanometer. And the reason I remember that is because I had to look it up on YouTube on how to pronounce it because it is not spelt like it is pronounced. And sphygmomanometer is actually a blood pressure cuff. That's the actual term for a blood pressure cuff. And I was like, what the heck? Why can't we just call it a blood pressure
exactly.
cuff?
That's funny.
Uh,
Yeah, I wonder where
yeah.
they come up with these names, but yeah, so that's crazy. We went from one topic to the other topic to the next topic, but I don't know, just it just makes you, this whatever's going on, I don't know what it is, but your responsibility, I think, like maybe you're a grown up, maybe you have a family, but your responsibility is to you and your family at the end of the day, right? And um you can really get sucked into all of this craziness. It's really easy.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are some things that we can do to make sure we stay on our path, or grow our path for the good, you know?
I believe personally, and I'm not saying this for everyone, but personally, I believe in presence. Be present in your moment, and when you start to, whatever your faith is, whatever your belief system is, whatever it is, for me, it's God. When you start to stray from that and you start to get truly affected from whatever the outside noise is, I go inward. I sit and I have a moment and I pray. Other people can do other things. There's meditating, there's going for a walk, there's so many different options. But connect and just become more present because you cannot rewrite the past and you cannot predict the future.
No, that's right.
So why worry? Become present, become in this moment in yourself or in your faith, whatever that is. And I believe that is how you can mitigate all of that outside stuff and be there for your family.
Yeah, and I think that circles back to the example of what Charlie Kirk was trying to leave, right? It was his faith that grounded him, and he, his family was his, it's family time. And I think he said in one of his interviews or whatever, he's like, I take I can't remember if it was a Friday at 7 o'clock, my phone gets turned off, and this is my family time until Saturday again at 7 o'clock. And that's, he just shuts everything off, and he's present with his family.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying that's the only time he spent with his family, but that's his dedicated, um, and setting those boundaries, or those little, even comes down to like date nights,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With your spouse, you think
Yeah.
things are getting hard or bland, or you got kids now and things just get crazy. And date night can be anything. It can just be like, we get a babysitter and we go for a walk without the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Just you and your spouse's time together. You need that, because
Dates are
kids,
sacred.
yeah, they're all consuming, but
They
you got
can
to
be. Yeah.
remember,
And honestly, the best thing you can actually do for your kids is honor your marriage,
yeah,
honor your
100%.
relationship in front of them,
Yeah.
because it's setting a really good example of how you treat those that you love and respect.
Mm-hmm.
And by going on date night and making yourselves a priority, that is showing them a really good example, and that's important. I love that. And yeah, it was Erica Kirk that said when Charlie came home, like he was a very busy man. He was
Very.
constantly traveling and working hard to provide for his family. But when he came home, it was her job to make sure that that was his peace.
Yeah. And the other thing she said too is she made the home because he enjoyed to come home,
Yeah.
right? Um, so whoever, if you're, and that goes both ways, right? Everybody's has a different role in today's society, but
Mhm.
yeah, your home is your sanctuary. It's supposed to be your sanctuary.
And it should be.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
It doesn't, I like that. Today's society has allowed for women to also have that role, that provider role. And that's great. I'm not saying that it has to be male, female. I love that you made that point because we should clarify that. Whomever is outside of the home providing, it doesn't matter. What matters is that when you come home as a couple, you need to be each other's peace. You need to be each other's sanctuary because that will also shut out the outside noise.
yeah,
And when you're together, you do need to do that.
exactly, exactly. Well, I'd love, you know, for our audience. I mean, what kind of impact have you found, from maybe it's the first time you've ever heard of Charlie Kirk, or maybe you're a long time listener of Charlie Kirk. What impact did this kind of have on yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we'd
you
love to
know,
hear from you what impact.
and it's so crazy. And I think about myself because I'm like, I'm super shy and I don't like to put myself out there. Well, here's this young man who started at age 18 or 17 doing this, putting himself out there. Like, why do we live in this fear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and yeah, he had a whole world of following. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. What was, I think, one of the most powerful moments for me because I was emotionally impacted. Like it actually impacted my couple days after I was sad. I was very sad. And watching the memorial service and Erica Kirk standing up there saying that she forgives the man that shot him.
yeah,
That is true. Like the impact that that had on me, like just knowing that she truly has so much love in her heart that she could forgive this person. Oh, I was like, man, if she can forgive him, then so can I. I was like, holy man, I've got to find a deeper meaning to all of this because she has, and
exactly.
that impacted so many actually different parts of my life because I was like, if she can forgive the man that took her husband away, then what resentments am I holding on to in other aspects of my life out towards other people like that I need to forgive because it's following me. That pain is following me because I'm not letting it go.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. It's not the forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's actually for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if you can reflect and find that forgiveness, yeah, it's not easy.
No.
So yeah. What now I don't know if this was Charlie Kirk talking, but you know that little, we call it the, it's in your gut or it's in your center, like you just know something and then we
Your
don't follow
intuition.
it. Yeah. I think it was Charlie that talked about that, but we're taught to squish that down, right? And
Mm,
not listen to it. And maybe that's, like you say, you got to look inwards and start listening to yourself probably more often than you think,
mm-hmm.
right?
100%. Yeah. And that's such a positive thing is to look into that feeling that you get, that vision, that dream, that whatever it is, because that is guidance. And when you start living your life with authenticity and you start following that intuition that you are born with, you are designed with that in mind. When you start living with that, you start living with a sense of purpose. And that's where this actually goes back to our episode Monkey Brain. Let's go back and listen to it. But when you are living with chaos and busy and you're constantly being pulled in 1,000 different directions and nothing's ever getting accomplished and you're just feeling out of sorts, it's because you're not living with purpose. You're not living by that intuitive feeling of, hey, I'm supposed to go and help this person. I'm supposed to go and do this for a career. I'm supposed to write this or, whatever it is. Or this doesn't feel right. I don't think I'm supposed to do this. When you're not living with that, you're going to create chaos.
Yeah.
I truly wholeheartedly believe Charlie Kirk was one of the busiest, most productive people, but yet he had this peace. He was following his purpose. He was following his intuition, his gut feeling, and you could see he didn't get irritated by people disagreeing with him.
Nope.
It wasn't chaotic to him. He just
And that's
smiled and he was peaceful.
and that's the thing. He didn't cave to what everybody thinks you should be.
Yeah. And that's because he was living with purpose.
Yeah.
I highly, highly recommend listening or reading to a book called The Purpose Driven Life. I'm listening to it right now on Audible. It's by, I believe it's Rick Warren. Ugh, let me look it up while Charlene and I talk, but it's so powerful, so powerful. The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's it.
And
And
that's the
it
thing, like,
speaks to a lot of what we were just talking about.
yeah, and I think too, like when you're so convicted with that purpose, like you have that conviction
Mhm.
that, well, you go the monkey brain stuff, it really doesn't matter.
No,
You
it
know
all
your
just
truth.
falls away.
You just know
You
your
know
truth.
your truth. Exactly. And that goes back to, we've talked about it on here too. Luke Belmar, we quoted him with the authenticity, the frequency, the vibration that you put off, that you emanate. They did a study and it's like 400,000 times higher than the frequency of love is authenticity because you are living your purpose. We were all born with gifts and talents and purpose. And it's in every different field, in every different aspect of life. And when you're living that, all that noise falls away.
Exactly.
And I believe that
Well,
that's truly what Charlie Kirk was trying to get across to the world is his faith, his passion. And he said, "I want to be remembered for my conviction in my faith."
yep. And that's good. That's good. That's a good thing too. Like, what do you want to be remembered for? Think about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. That you got to put some thought into that, and then you'll come up with it, and that ties back to your purpose. So,
Yeah.
good little exercise.
Yeah. And I can't remember who said it or where I heard it, and I apologize to whoever said this. I should have remembered, but um when you were a child and you had all of the dreams and you knew what you wanted to do, whether that was be an astronaut or whether you wanted to be a gymnast or a doctor, and there was nothing stopping you, and there was nothing stopping your imagination, and the world was not there. It was just you and your imagination. That is what your true purpose or gift is, because there's nothing preventing you from dreaming. So we need to shed society's opinions. We need to shed the ideology that we learned in schools, because every teacher is different too, and they put different ideology onto you. And, shed all of those opinions and those things, those learned behaviors, and go back to the true root of dreaming. And you're going to find exactly what you were meant to do because it's in you. You were born with it. You just have to shed society's opinions to find it.
Exactly. Deep thoughts
Deep
today,
thoughts
guys.
with Tanisha and Charlene. Shall we change the name of the podcast?
Yeah, we might have to. Ah. Well, with that being said, you guys, I should pop off of here. My phone's blowing up, I think, for, you know, some of the things we've been saying today, and I just want to hop on and check out what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a wake up call. If that wasn't a wake up call, I'm not sure you're waiting for another one. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a big enough wake up call for the entire world.
yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So never, like I said, I watched a little bit of his debates. I'm just I'm still just blown away about what an impact he actually had in so many different areas. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. I agree. It was very impactful. He lived a life of great impact and great faith, and I admire that.
yeah,
So, anyways, to our listeners, I agree with Charlene. We don't want to keep talking because eventually you'll get tired of hearing us, and we don't want you to get tired of hearing us. We want to keep you engaged, and we want to have impact on your life. So thank you so much for listening, and as always, subscribe and follow. It's a great way to support us, and get the message out there. And in any of the comments, or find us on social media, let us know what impact all of this had on you.
yeah,
We don't have to agree about it, but we'd love to still hear from you.
exactly. Well, everybody enjoy your week and stay safe and work on that purpose.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.